Hey everybody, Jason again. The talk you're about to listen to is a talk that I wrote for this church, the Wayside Chapel in Stockton, New York, my hometown, very small town. And just wanted to say, hey, thanks for watching. And sorry, it kind of cuts off a little bit, that we were having technical difficulties when we were recording it. And I want to apologize for that. It's a little shaky. The tripod was not working, of course. And the guy who was filming was a little sick, so he shakes, and there's that point where he coughs. Again, I apologize, but I'm very grateful he was able to film it and record it. And yeah, well, hopefully you learn and enjoy. Thanks. Have a good day.
I think I did.
Thank you. Not for this one, but
You can either stand up there or there's this one.
I'll stand up here. I'll place this on my stuff.
Okay.
So, first, I actually grew up on Munger Road in Stockton. And went to Casadega, so it's fun to see some familiar faces as I'm here. So, I've been involved with a lot of different types of missions throughout, well, really since I was 18. Started working at a summer camp, 5 summers at camp, and traveled for 2 years with this organization called Youth Encounter. They send musical ministry groups all around the world, really, and I traveled the West Coast and then the Midwest my second year. And then I've been to Honduras twice. And I work for this youth program in Frewsburg called the Relief Zone. I run there I can talk, I swear. Saturday Teen Outreach Program. It's 7th through 12th grade, and they come hang out. We have worship and a speaker and play games, and it's just a lot of fun. And I run that program, so that's really exciting, and that's where my heart is. But my heart is also for Honduras. And I've been there twice. Once in January of 2011 for a week and a half, and then for 2 weeks in April of 2011. Came home on Good Friday. I really wanted to see what Easter was like down there because I went to a service the day before Good Friday. It was like a 5-hour service, but it was so exciting. For 5 hours, though. I have some papers, if it's okay if I pass these around, that just give some information. Be different, but did not expect to be as different as it is. This first picture I am going to pass out. I'm going to pass out 3 pictures. The first picture is what they use for their oven. It's just cement and metal, and just pass that around. And then the second picture is a dog. Nearly every family had a dog for protection, but they could barely afford to feed their own family, so oftentimes the dogs would just be starving. And then I'm going to tell a story in a little bit about this boy named Luis, and the third picture is him. I have more pictures that I'll be around for a few minutes after if you want to see some more pictures. But Honduras, they have a population of just over 8 million people. But the government's so corrupt. You can see in the capital city, and you know who is in charge because they have a nice house. While everyone else, I saw this family of 12 living in this house that was 1 room. It was the 2 grandparents, the 2 parents, and 8 kids. And the 8 kids were sleeping on the bed. 1 bed for 8 kids. And then the grandparents and the parents slept on the floor. It's just heartbreaking, to be honest with you. Especially after getting to know these kids and just seeing them. And I don't usually use an outline, so. Honduras is located between Guatemala. I can talk. Guatemala and Nicaragua.
We don't bite.
I know. I'm not nervous. It's just the past couple days I cannot get words out. I don't know what it is. Between Guatemala and Nicaragua. But and it's a 3rd world country. They have the 3rd highest infant mortality rate in the Western Hemisphere. It just is incredible because the government keeps the majority of the money that they get. A couple years ago, there was this fire in a jail down there in a prison, and nearly every prisoner died. And the government made the guards stay in to make sure the prisoners did not get out. So a lot of the guards passed away too. That is the corruption in their country. The money that goes for the prisoners to live goes to their president, and he keeps the majority of it. And it's just really sad. But I have the picture of the boy Luis. Well, the first time I went down, I was kind of terrified, to be honest with you. I don't look like them, and I don't speak the language, and I've never flown that far. So I'm terrified. And I get on the plane, and I'm praying, Lord, please help me do this. Help me just get through this, at least flight, and calm me down. And I get down there, and we get on a bus. And we're driving 75 miles per hour on this bus through the mountains, which is terrifying enough, but then parts of the road, because the government doesn't fix anything, were literally had fallen off. You could see where pieces of the road fallen and went down the mountain. Terrifying ride too. And I get off the bus, so I'm still really scared. I don't know the language, and I get off, and there was this. The first thing that happens, I get off. There's this boy Luis in the picture I passed around, 12-year-old boy, gives me the biggest hug I think I've ever gotten, and said, "Gracias, thank you for being here," he said. And it's like, I didn't even get a chance to say anything to the kid first. He's just glad we're there. And the majority of the people, that's how they are. The love I felt there was just phenomenal. God was present there. Despite not having much, the one thing they had was love. And it's extraordinary. It's supernatural. It's from God. So Luis got really close with this kid. Really close. He was just a fantastic kid. Found out later in the week that my mom works with one of his sponsors for this organization called Promise Children. And they get two sponsors to give $30 a month. The first $30 goes into a bank, so if the family needs something, they can get it. The other $30 goes for food and school supplies. Because in Honduras, you have to be able to afford a uniform to go to school. Most kids cannot afford the uniform. Then you have to buy all your supplies and books on top of that. This is elementary school and middle school and high school. So most kids don't go to school, don't get an education. And Luis wanted that. And it was just really exciting to see his desire to learn. We had chalk. We were drawing on the walls of the villa we were in, on these couple buildings of LSU's. And we were drawing with chalk. And he decided he wanted to do his math and work on the wall instead. Like, that's his desire to learn, and it was really encouraging. And just the love that they showed me. So many kids, so many parents. That's why I get off the bus, and way too often in America, I feel like we make people earn their love. And in Honduras, they love you until you hurt them, and then they still love you beyond that. And it's just, they take the first step with love rather than whatever other motivations there may be. I went to their doctor's office, kind of. They call it their hospital. It was smaller than your sanctuary. And we're in there. We went because this girl, her name is Davy, we were in the pool, and somebody throughout the night had gone down there, I think it was one of the townspeople, and drank and just threw a glass bottle in the pool. And she jumped in and landed on the glass. So I am one of the people in charge of taking her to the doctor's office. And it's just really sad to see the state just dirty. And they didn't have anything to clean her foot with, so they used just a needle and thread to stitch her foot back up. And it was just one of the saddest things I've ever seen for this sweet little girl. And then there's this other girl, Marlene, amazing girl, just one of the friendliest people I've ever met, and just wanted to be around everybody. We're there, we're eating dinner, and I just felt bad. We give her some food, and she might get a meal twice a week. And it's just incredible. And their medical system is definitely not where ours is. In Honduras, I wrote down a couple facts. Back in, I think it was the 60s, their hospital was built in the capital city of Tegucigalpa, which is not where I was, but that's where they have their neonatal intensive care unit for the entire country. It's in the one hospital. And it was made to support and hold 7,000 births per year. They're now at about 22,000 births per year, and they've not updated it. I've seen pictures of up to 7 or 8 babies in one incubator. And just lack of room. 20 out of every 1,000 babies pass away in Honduras, and this is part of the mission I'm going to in July. I'm going to be going from July 22nd to the 29th to help build a wing a separate wing onto their unit, their intensive care unit for the babies, for their infants. And while I'm down there, I'm also working with some of the parents. 40% of those 20 deaths is because they don't have sanitizer. Just sanitizer or rubber gloves. Just the need for those is just outstanding. Just that could save 40% of the infants' lives, and another 56% is because of lack of room. I said there's 7 or 8 babies per incubator. We're trying to make more room for these children. And the organization I'm going with is called Little Angels of Honduras. A good friend of mine, Katie, it's now Katie Castro, it used to be Katie Sloan. I used to go to church with her. She lost a baby a little over a year ago. She married a Honduran guy, and because, the baby probably wouldn't have lived if it was born in America, but it would have lived longer if it was born in America. But being born in Honduras, it lived, I think, about a month. I'm not completely sure. It was devastating to her. She went and visited the hospital shortly after, and she met this other guy down there. Didn't know who he was. Turns out he was from Cruiseburg, while she's from Bemis Point. It was like, out of nowhere, in the hospital in Honduras, he was visiting to see what it was like. And down there, they were meeting with some of the doctors and other officials, and they both got the call to help build a wing. And it's funny because his name is Christian. He calls himself, he just changed his name to Christian because when he became a Christian, he wanted to change his name. Like Simon became Peter, Kyle became Christian. It was just kind of cool when he told me that story. But he stood up and he goes, I want to help. I need to do something. And Katie goes, me too. And they didn't, at that point, did not know where each other was from. It's like, we need to do something. And it turns out they're both from Western New York. Not very far apart. And it's just really exciting and cool to see. So when we go down, we're going to be helping with the families and working with them. We're also going to be building the unit, part of the unit. Of course, a week's not enough time to build the whole thing. But we're also trying to take supplies down. On the paper, there's a list of supplies on the bottom of the need, of what they need. And there are several ways we could use your help. You could give those supplies or give financially. It's about $1,000 per person to go. I am at $400 that I've raised. If you can help support me or the organization, you can tell me and I will designate where you want that to go. I will make sure it gets there. If you want to go towards my trip, I'll do that. If you want to go towards the organization, I'd be really excited to give it to them also. And the last way you could help of the 3 ways is the most powerful. It's the power of prayer. If you could just pray for the families down there, most of all. Families, the government, the hospital, and anyone going on the trip, because it's not an easy trip to make. But it's an exciting trip to make, and it's well worth it. I was listening to James McDowell the other day, and something, actually it was probably like a month ago, and it just stuck with me. And I try to remember this daily, whenever I'm faced with a challenge, whether it's a challenge to get over some sort of obstacle given to me, or maybe a challenge to help somebody, or a challenge to be with these kids. He once said that way too often, with David and Goliath, the Israelites said something completely different than David said. When being challenged by Goliath, the Israelites were thinking, he is so big, we cannot win. And David, his answer was completely the opposite. He is so big, I cannot miss. He grabbed those stones, and he did not miss. And with help, but the thing is, he needed help. He needed help from his God. He needed help from those stones. And he needed the others to let him go and do it. And there's so many ways that is true for us today. I cannot do this without the support that I've already gotten and the support I will continue to get. Through prayer or financial or the supplies. If you can do anything, I'll be around a little while after. I have more pictures and so many more stories to share if you want to hear. It's just exciting, and I thank you so much for the opportunity to come here. And this is one of the friendliest churches I've ever been to. It's really exciting, so thank you for that too. And I'd like to pray once more.